I just washed my hands and the fam wants biscuits today. So I'm going to quickly show you how I make my mouth-watering, buttery, fluffy butter biscuits. Okay, so I've already got my ingredients laid out. I'm starting out with 2.5 cups of flour here. I've got 1.5 tablespoons of sugar, and I've got a teaspoon of salt, and I've got 1 tablespoon of baking powder. And in the freezer back here, I've got 6 tablespoons of butter that I've already cut it up. Now you're probably wondering why I've got the butter in the freezer. Well, I've got the butter in the freezer because when making biscuits, it's better to have cold butter when I cut it into the flour, into the dry mixture. So I'm going to start out, I'm going to dump my baking powder. Remember, this is a tablespoon of baking powder. I'm going to dump that in there. Let's get all of it in there. I've got a teaspoon of salt. Now, here's what I'm going to say about the salt. So if you use unsalted butter, you can probably use I'll say a teaspoon and a half, but I don't have unsalted butter, so I'm only going to use a teaspoon of salt because my butter already has salt in it. And I have a tablespoon and a half of sugar. I also have buttermilk over here. I think I forgot to mention that. So I've got all this, so I'm going to kind of mix these ingredients up, the dry ingredients up, so we can get that going. And I am going to get my cold butter, and we're going to start cutting that into the flour. So here I have 6 tablespoons of cold butter. So we're just going to cut that into the mixture. Just going to cut it in there. I don't have my pastry cutter, so I have to use this to cut my butter because I don't want to use my hands because I want the butter to stay cold because that's what helps it to stay fluffy. Helps keep it light because if I can't do a better job cutting that in there, speed up the process a little bit. Oh yeah. Now I remember growing up, my mom always, when she made biscuits, she cut her butter in the biscuits with the fork. She didn't have any fancy utensils. Oh yeah, much better. And we're going to add the buttermilk. Now, what I should say about these biscuits, I'm not going to roll out. I'm going to make them so that I can just pour them into my pan. And pop them in the oven. And I've already got my oven heated at 450. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to add the buttermilk. And I'm going to stir that mixture up. Now Now, I will say that you might have to add more than 2 cups of buttermilk to get it to the consistency that you want it, because it looks like I'm going to have to put just a little more buttermilk in there. No, this should do. Okay, so over here off to the side I have my pan, and in the pan I have a stick of butter that I've already melted. So I am just going to our mixture, and then I'm just going to spread it out in all that butter. You'll see some of the butter will come over the top as I spread it, which is why they're called buttery biscuits. Spread it out evenly. And what I'm going to do now, I am going to take a knife and I'm going to slice these. Since we didn't roll them out, we're just gonna slice them just like that. Slice it like that. And let's move it over here. And we'll slice it like that. And we are going to pop these in the oven at 450 for about 25 to 30 minutes. And once they're done, we'll be back. So the biscuits are ready. They're out of the oven. They look really good. They look nice and fluffy. So I'm gonna cut them so that we can get one out. Whoa. Thought I cut it all the way through. Okay. So, there's what it looks like. It looks nice and fluffy. We're gonna cut it open. Oh yeah, look at all that steam. And we've got some nice honey butter. I'm gonna spread in there. Some of that honey butter. And let's taste it. You know, I like a lot of butter. Oh, delicious. Oh, this is really good. So, drop me a comment. Leave me your favorite biscuit recipe. And we can exchange. Excuse me, my mouth is full. We can exchange recipes because you can find my recipe in the description box. So drop me a comment with your favorite biscuit recipe. Remember to like and subscribe. This was Just Joy with buttery, flaky biscuits.